Jeffrey Fingai in the 20 car drew the pole with the 49 of Alex Allen on his outside. Jeffrey Fingai would get a nice start over Alex Allen and would lead the field down into turn 1. Off of turn 2, Matthew Stringer, with a big run from Matthew Nicholson, would be able to get to the inside, and Matthew would take the early lead. Round of Florida winner Mark Nutt did not get off to a great start for his weekend, as TJ Dent turned him down into the path of Luke Walker, and he spun off of his bumper and got some significant left side damage on the inside wall. He would continue, however, and would remain on the lead lap. Although things have relatively settled out front, with Matthew Stringer in first and Dakota Honaker now going for second on William Nicholson, near the back of the field we still have lots of 2 and 3 wide racing here. Luke Walker was the only other car that lost the draft from the accident with Mark Nutt. William Duncan, who was behind Luke Walker, did not get any damage and was actually able to draft back up to the pack. On lap 8, Matthew Stringer would not get a good run through turns 3 and 4, and because of that, Dakota Honaker would be able to get to the inside of him. Down into turn 1, Dakota would be able to maintain his speed on the bottom, which is actually relatively difficult to do on this track, and Dakota would take the lead. A couple of laps later, Gerald Reddington, who has really made his way to the front of the field so far in this race, has just gotten around Matthew Stringer and is now trying to run down Dakota Honaker. However, Alex Allen has other ideas, as he is trying to get back by him on the inside. However, he doesn't get a nice run off the corner, and Gerald Reddington holds on to the position. Although Dakota Honaker has had the lead for a few laps and is relatively comfortable, the battle for second is raging on, as Kyle Sosnowski is now in the position. Gerald Reddington trying to hold on the top line, Demir trying to come up the middle, and Skylar Dixon, our Heat 1 winner from the round of Florida, has already made his way up into third place, as we have 4 wide racing behind them. Gerald Reddington, Alex Allen, Spencer Fullerton, and Ophelia Andumian make it 4 wide down the quad oval section. Spencer Fullerton makes a miraculous save there. He received some contact with Scott Batista and damn near spun it off of Ophelia Andumian's bumper. However, they were able to save it. The cars beside them, however, were not so lucky. After making some contact with Spencer Fullerton, Scott Batista was sent up the track when Spencer Fullerton was turned into Alex Allen and Gerald Reddington, who was still racing 3 wide, and Alex Allen got into Gerald Reddington and they both spun into the wall. Dakota Honaker would lead the field back to the green flag with just 3 laps to go in this heat race. All 18 cars are still on track, although a few are damaged. He's going to have to hold off the very fast charging car of Skylar Dixon, who's made his way from 17th up into 2nd here, and Damir Bejianov also looks pretty fast. Look at Scott Batista making a run on the inside there on Damir Bejianov. Skylar Dixon trying to get the lead into turn 3, not going to work this lap, not quite yet at least. Dakota Honaker gets a nice run off of 4 and continues in the lead. Scott Batista and Skylar Dixon, though, teamed up and into turn 1, although Dakota Honaker was able to keep more of his speed. Skylar Dixon would be able to keep alongside him, and into turn 3 that lap, Skylar would get a nice run and would take the lead as they come to the white flag. White flag is in the air, 1 lap to go. Dakota Honaker trying to get back up there to challenge Skylar Dixon. Damir Bejianov forces him up 3 wide. Scott Batista and Matthew Stringer coming along the bottom. Can they have a run on Skylar Dixon? Skylar kind of forces him way down to the bottom line. Can Scott Batista get a run off the corner? Gets a little bit of a run, but Skylar Dixon is going to win the heat race. Skylar Dixon has just been phenomenal in the heat races, as that is his 2nd straight heat race win. Scott Batista in the 91 car finished 2nd. At the 87 of Matthew Stringer came across the line 3rd. Kyle Sosnowski in the red 7 car back there came across the line in a relatively good fourth place position, and Damir Bejyanov had to settle for fifth. Drawing the pole for heat race number 2 would be Johnny Finguy, the other teammate in Jeffrey Finguy Incorporated. Jeffrey Finguy ironically drew the pole for heat race number 1. Terrence Day in the 55 would be starting on his outside, but Chris Washer would jump to the inside as they entered turn 1 with a very aggressive move. However, it would pay off as Chris Washer would take the early lead. William Nicholson in the 56 had other ideas though, as with some help from Sawyer Girl, William would make a challenge on the inside. As this heat race is a lot more intense than the first. 4-wide racing usually doesn't work in Atlanta, and Johnny Appleseed, Pichu London, and Terrence Day got together, collecting Andreas Allen, whose bad luck has seemed to have continued from last year. Coming back to the start-finish line, we nearly had another accident as Alex Tankard nearly got into Jacob Young, pushing him up into Paul Swanson, but William Nicholson in the 56 would lead the field to the caution. On the restart, Sawyer Girl would try to get to the outside of William on the start. However, Chris Washer got another great start there in the 5 car, and Chris would move back into second. The 4 cars involved in the previous accident are off the pace and have lost pretty much the draft of the pack. Johnny Appleseed with a bit of front end damage. I hope that car is cooling properly. Terrence Day with some damage, with some rear end damage. Pichu London with some rear end damage, and Andreas Allen just took the whole front off that car. I don't know why, they might as well just retire that thing. He is very slow. On lap 8, Chris Washer would move to the inside of William Nicholson. With a nice run through turn 2, he would grab the lead. Jacob Young and Alex Tanker would try to follow, and they would succeed. About a lap later, Jacob Young in the 22 car would get to the inside of Chris Washer through turns 3 and 4 and would grab the lead, as Chris Washer did not have any immediate drafting help. Chris Washer, however, would be able to slip to the inside, and just a lap later, Chris Washer would have a go back on Jacob Young. Mike Doan giving Chris some great drafting help, and because of that, Chris would retake the lead. While this was going on near the back of the field, Johnny Appleseed would blow up. I hope that car didn't have some radiator damage, but obviously it did, and he just overheated and blew up. He'll be starting 36th in the feature. Back up front, the battle rages on as Tyler Thabers made his way up to the front, just as Gerald Reddington did in the first heat race. Those the CA Motorsports cars look very strong for the round of Georgia. Mike Doan trying to hold on the outside, but Tyler would move up into second. In the next couple of laps, however, Sawyer Girl and Ty Dent would both fly by Mike Doan and Tyler Thaber on the inside line. They look very strong. These 3 cars, Chris Washer, Sawyer Girl, and Ty Dent, may be the class of this heat race. With 5 to go, Sawyer Girl would get to the inside of Chris Washer and take the lead as Ty Dent has moved into second. Behind them, Ty Dent would get a really nasty run through turn 3 and 4, and Chris Washer and Michael Kane would slip by on the outside. Throughout the last 5 laps, Sawyer Girl had extended his lead, but once the battle for second had stopped, and they really closed in on Sawyer. But now Paul Swanson forcing Chris Washer up high, Ty Dent on the inside. Sawyer Girl with a very big edge on Ty Dent and Chris Washer at this point. Sawyer Girl does not get a good run through turn 3, however. Here comes Ty Dent. Can Ty Dent have a chance at it? Ty Dent looks to the inside. Not going to be enough. Sawyer Girl gets his first HARC Series victory. Ty Dent came home second. A nice run for that crew. Chris Washer came home third, his second straight top 3 heat race finish. Michael Caine came across the line 4th, and Paul Swanson got 5th.